Good afternoon. This is Patrick D. McCoy, the African-American voice in classical music, and I want to welcome you to this next installment of the Opera Diva Series. As you know, we take this opportunity to talk to some of the divas singing in opera. Some may be familiar to you, and others may be new introductions. But today, I want to welcome a dear friend of mine, Laquita Mitchell, who will be opening in the performances of La Traviata with New York City Opera. Good afternoon, Laquita.
Good afternoon. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, my goodness. It's so good to hear your voice. The last time we saw each other was when you were here in Washington doing Terrence McNally's master class. So it's good to have you on here today.
Absolutely. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Now let's jump right in. So tell me about La Traviata. Tell me about the New York City Opera production that you're going to be starring in.
Well, I'm so excited about being a part of La Traviata with the New York City Opera. This is a Jonathan Miller production, and our wonderful, wonderful assistant director, Miss Elena Arauz, has directed us for the past, 2 weeks now, 2 weeks and a half. A short amount of time to mount a production, but it's such an intimate show. Very, very famous, of course, for the Libiamo and the A Forse Lui Sempre Libera aria and the Provenza aria for baritone. It's a very, very traditional opera, as in, like La Bohème, I should say. We are all enjoying this process. It has been a rough go with City Opera in the beginning, of course, with the issues with the unions. However, we all stayed strong, all the performers and the artists stayed strong, and we are so happy to be working and to be singing Verdi, which is definitely a blessing. So,
congratulations to you, and I see that you're starring in this role, and I can't help but reflect back on the life of Camilla Williams, who is considered the first African American woman to sing with a major opera company, and she sang with the New York City Opera. How is she being remembered, or what has been the thoughts and reflections on Ms. Williams' life at this time as you all present this major opera?
Well, since her passing a few days ago, her memory and her life and legacy has been on all of our minds. We spoke about it during our rehearsal. There are two operas being rehearsed at the same time, our production of La Traviata and the Rufus Wainwright opera, Prima Donna, is going on at the same time and will open directly after La Traviata closes. I'm not quite sure what's happening with that production in terms of the reflection of the life of Miss Camilla Williams, but for me, it holds a serious weight. Being African American, I watched many tribute films to her on YouTube and different things like that, and I owned her Porgy and Bess recording, and I remember how elegant and how beautiful the sound was. I thought, wow, this is truly an unsung, a performer, not knowing that much about her, but it's so unfortunate. Of course, we find out more about people when they pass than when they're alive. And I truly hope that her memory will live on with this production and with everything that I do concerning working with City Opera or wherever. These women and men in this during that time, they went through so much. I was reading her obituary, and I think I read where she had gone to school in Virginia and was taking lessons in Philadelphia and worked at a theater as a ticket person, collecting the tickets from the patrons. And I just thought to myself how this woman must have felt being in that theater collecting tickets while other artists are on stage singing, and she could do just the same and or better. Takes a lot of courage, a lot of sacrifice, and a lot of will to be in that position and to have to come around and enter through the back door in order to work. Or, I I think about it and it just brings tears to my eyes because I know that she probably endured some tough stuff. But her legacy, which is her voice and her singing, and the wonderful legacy of singers that she left behind, I guess teaching at IU and Brooklyn College and Bronx College, those singers should be very, very proud of what she endured and all of her accolades. They're not to be forgotten, and not at all. When I opened my mouth to sing in rehearsal when she passed away, I was verklempt because I know I know what it feels like to sort of pass through and try to be respected as an artist with gravitas, and have people not look at the color of your skin as there being an issue. Even to this day, I do believe that still is a problem. Not so much as it was back then, but I was also reading that her tenor, who debuted with her in Madame Butterfly in the 40s, had written a letter to the then mayor, Fiorello H. LaGuardia, protesting the fact that he had to sing with this woman. And I thought to myself, wow, she, again, thought of only the music, and she kept her eyes on the prize, and that was her voice, singing well and doing the very, very best job that she could. And that's what I hope to accomplish in singing La Traviata, to do the very, very best job that I can without, paying too much attention about what the critics or whoever has to say, because that comes with the job. But what she had to endure, and what subsequently Marian Anderson and the others after, that was quite something, and I'm so grateful for her for that.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And what most people did not know until the press came out was the fact that her debut at New York City Opera came 9 years before Marian Anderson made her debut at the Metropolitan Opera. And so,
Absolutely.
It's just interesting. It's such an interesting point that you resonate there. Now, tell me, let's move forward. Another special thing. Yes, you're singing La Traviata and you're singing it with New York City Opera, but I think that it's wonderful that you're singing back in your hometown of Brooklyn, New York. Tell me about that. How does that make you feel?
Oh, I'm smiling. It's sort of unreal. Yesterday there was a wonderful article that appeared in the New York Post, and a few of my friends read the article and they said, Laquita, oh my gosh, I'm just crying just thinking about it, because it's like, I feel like it was just yesterday that we were taking the train from Brooklyn an hour into Manhattan to go to high school every day, back and forth. I did that. And I just smiled, and I'm just so grateful for this opportunity. I tell you, I've been walking in a state of gratitude because to sing here for my family and for my friends, and for my voice teacher, of course, and coaches who have been so helpful to me. I'm just in awe of it all. And sometimes I forget how important it is, because I'm just so filled with gratitude for the opportunity to, first of all, sing such a magnificent role. And secondly, to have the opportunity to sing so that my grandmother can see me sing. My dad's mom can see me sing, and my mom can hear me sing, and my dad and my friends who, can't necessarily make it out to other states or different countries where I happen to be performing or whatnot. So I'm really, really, really excited about this. And I felt nothing but love from everyone. And again, sometimes I have to pinch myself because I'm really overjoyed, and I'm really grateful. Brooklyn Academy of Music is truly a jewel within the borough of Brooklyn. It is really an opera house, a romantic scene, 21,009 seats. 2,109 seats. And every seat it's as if I can see every face in the hall while I'm on stage. So it's very intimate, and actually the perfect size for an opera house, I think. The pit is pretty low. We're just all excited about it. When I walked out on stage, I thought, wow, I have not been here since I was about 9 years old, and my church vacation Bible school brought us there for some concert or something like that, and I was about 10 years old. So I hadn't been there in years, but to revisit BAM has been quite an exciting thing for me. And the area has redeveloped so much, and there's tons of fine restaurants and shopping, and it really has gone through a resurgence, and I'm really excited about the future of BAM. So,
when you just mentioned church, that brings me to a next point that I always like to ask. For a lot of African American singers, the church is usually the place where we, and not say we, because I sing also, but we get nurtured and get exposure to good music and hymns and spirits and so forth. Talk to me a little bit about how were you introduced to music, particularly opera and classical music as a child?
Well, I grew up in Brooklyn in a brownstone, and my godparents owned the brownstone, and my grandmother rented from them. And I was the only child running around in this huge brownstone. It's about 4 floors. And my godmother was a pianist. And my godmother and godfather never had children. And I, therefore, came along as the child that they never really had. My godmother was well into her, her late 50s, 60s, 70s. She still took piano lessons. She always wanted to play the piano. She wasn't the best pianist in the world by no means, but she had such a want to learn how to play the piano. And so she would have piano lessons like once every 2 weeks. And she'd come home and she'd play in the Steinway, and she'd play Mozart, Haydn, some Bach, play, of course, hymns from church. And so that's what I grew up hearing in my godparents' home. And then my grandmother, who is from Panama, would play salsa music and merengue and Caribbean music. And so I heard so much growing up. And I don't know what my life would be like had I not heard my godmother playing the piano. I don't know. But I will say this. After knowing that she would never have any sort of huge piano career or anything like that, that did not matter to her. What mattered is that she was able to look at music, sight read, and play, and she practiced over and over and over again. And that's where I learned the importance of practice, the importance of trying, even though it might not end up, in Merkin Hall or something like that. But for her want, her personal want to play, I watched that, and I realized that it made her feel like someone and like somebody. So I understood what that meant as a youngster. And even going into my, high school and college, I understood the importance of practice because I saw her do that. In terms of really, really singing, of course, I sang at Cornerstone Baptist Church and their youth department. I sang in the choir, but no one ever really thought that Laquita Mitchell would be an opera singer. I mean, everyone sang. It didn't matter who you were, you had to sing. It didn't matter. And you know how that is in the Black church. You just have to sing.
Yes.
But I guess going into junior high school, I had my family and we moved from one section of Brooklyn to the next. And I went to an area of Brooklyn called Flatbush and near Brooklyn College. And I was eager to get into some sort of choir once I went into this junior high school. And I was told that I was not allowed to enter into the junior high school because I had not come from their district. I'd come from another district, and the chorus person didn't know anything about my abilities, nor did she try to find out. So I ended up taking dance, and I ended up taking print shops. Can you believe that? And so within me, I always knew that I wanted to sing somehow. I always knew that. I would throw out different ideas to my grandmother, and she'd just shake her head and say, yeah. But I knew within me that I wanted to do some sort of singing. So when the high school application time came around, there are 4 specialized high schools in New York City. I wanted to apply for Fiorello H. LaGuardia High School, the Fame School. So let me try. And of course, my grandmother said, well, it's too far, but she took the train ride out with me for the audition. I sang Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Subsequently, a couple of months later, found out that I got in, and it was possibly one of the best things that could have ever happened for me. At 14, I was traveling from Brooklyn to Manhattan every day. Turned out, and there was a young lady who lived directly across the street from me who also had gotten in the same year that I did. So I had a train buddy, so we would take the train, and then come to find out there were tons of kids in my neighborhood of Flatbush that attended the school. So there were a huge influx of us from Brooklyn that traveled to Manhattan every day to go to school. And we entered into, Italian singing class and German diction class and English diction class and girls chorus and full chorus. And it was an amazing, amazing experience. Every day at school, you had no idea what would happen. Would someone come in and ask, hey, we need, 4 or 5 singers to sing background for this jingle. Can we take these students? And, there were things like that going on with my school. So I was so excited, to attend school. But things sort of took a turn for me. The ending of my freshman year, I was cutting class, and the head of my voice department found me and said, Laquita, how would you like to meet Miss Jessie Norman? I had no idea who she was. And I said, okay, sure, I'd like to meet her. I don't know who she is, but, if I get to get out of class, no problem, He says, okay, please meet me here tomorrow at 9. I said, fine. I went home, came back to school the very next day, met at Lincoln Center, and I saw this woman approach me. And I, at that point, was speechless. I was completely speechless. I had no idea what I was in for. And Miss Norman took myself and about 19 other girls on a tour of the Metropolitan Opera. And the name of this organization was called National Take Your Daughters to Work Day. So this nonprofit definitely helped to change my view of things, and that they gave me an opportunity to meet Miss Norman. Miss Norman took us on a tour of the Met. She saw that I was inquisitive and I asked questions. She brought my first CD. She asked if I'd like to see an opera. I said yes. She told me to come back that night. My first opera was Die Walküre at the Met. Almost 15 years old. Saw Miss Norman come out on stage singing Sieglinde. I thought I was going to die. I heard the sound that she made. I heard the sound of the orchestra. James Levine conducting at that time. I had no idea who he was. And I thought to myself, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I mean, forget about the music videos, forget about all the gospel stuff that I was able to do, forget about that. This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. Oh my God, I have a choice. There's one thing to be an artist, and sometimes you find yourself singing things and like, you sing some things and your heart really isn't in it. And my heart was always in it when I sang gospel music, R&B music, not so much. I believe my heart was in it when I sang gospel music because I was a Christian, and I am a Christian, and I felt like there was a tug in my heart. But when it came to singing this sort of music, classical music, there was such a challenge in it for me. I just felt like I needed to get involved. And after that choice meeting and seeing of Die Walküre, my interest was sparked, and that was it. My high school teacher, Mr. Ramon Rieberg, recognized that. And every day he would bring me a new CD, a new tape of different African-American singers. He fostered that want in me. And he saw that I was able to listen to something and recreate it instantly. My voice was so high, he knew that I enjoyed singing gospel music, but would that be an actual life choice or path for me? It could have been, but it would not have filled me the way that this challenge filled me. So that was how things sort of turned for me. And in high school, I decided to keep singing. And there were naysayers. There were teachers in my high school who said, I'll never be nothing more than a gospel singer. I'll never be nothing. I mean, there are people who said that about me who work at the Met. There have been people who said that about me all my life. But I've never really paid that much attention to that, knowing that those feelings and thoughts are there. I just knew in the secret place of my heart that I wanted to do that. And that it is it's a challenge for me that is so, it's something that I long for. It's something that I live for. It's something that I wake up in the morning thinking about. And just because that happens doesn't mean that necessarily means that you have to have a career in it. But I do believe it's a special calling. And I believe that this was designed for me in some way.
I can only imagine how in the world I would feel if I was walking towards Lincoln Center and there stands the great Jesse Norman. My goodness, what an honor. And that relationship is still maintained to this day, correct?
It is. And I'm so excited about it. And I'm excited that that I was able to make good, you know. Sometimes, you know, you can help young people. You can give them advice. You can talk to them about your experiences. And then the next day you see them on Facebook or wherever, and they're still talking about what they should do with their lives. Sometimes certain seeds aren't planted, but that's why it's important to plant as many seeds as you can, because you never know which one might sprout, you know? So for her, of those 19, 20 girls that were there that day, if 2 received what she gave, then she's done her job, and she did do her job. So I feel that in any way in which I can help and or encourage people, I do it, even if I don't know what that might turn out to be. I mean, look, I was a kid from Brooklyn, had no idea what I was getting myself into, and I'm quite sure she didn't understand where I was walking or coming from. But the fact that she gave up her time, which she didn't have to, it was a day of a performance. She didn't have to do it. You know what I mean? And so for me, I try to always give of myself in that way. Even if I know it won't amount to anything, it doesn't matter. If you give of yourself in that way, you just never know what will sprout from it, you know?
That's true. That's absolutely true.
Absolutely.
Now, you know, I want to change subjects for a moment, because there's no way in the world I could talk to this great New Yorker and not congratulate you guys on the Super Bowl.
Go Blue. Absolutely. Absolutely. I sat and watched last night, and I thought, okay, are they going to be able to pull it out this year? And they did. I'm really, really excited for the city of New York. You heard tons of screaming and carrying on outside. So I know everyone is pretty excited about the win, and it's really great. It's a great thing.
Now, I know you weren't screaming with your beautiful voice.
Absolutely not. I was laid up resting. I have a tough week of rehearsals in front of me, and just trying to gain as much strength as possible, because it will be a tough week. So
it has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you, Laquita. And just as we bring the interview to a close, could you maybe give us some information if listeners want to obtain tickets, and also the dates of the performances?
Okay. I guess everyone can go to NewYorkCityOpera.com and find out more information about the 2 shows, La Traviata and Rufus Wainwright's Prima Donna. And the performances for La Traviata will be February 12, 14, 16, 18. There are 4 shows at the Brooklyn Academy of Music. And first show will be Sunday, February 12th at 1:30. And our beautiful conductor is Mr. Stephen White. And
isn't that
Mr. Stephen White. Yes, he is Elizabeth Futrell's husband, and he is fantastic. He's great. He's a wonderful conductor who has really helped to guide us through all of this. And I got to tell you, music staff and production staff have been fantastic all the way. I'm so proud of the work that we've all been able to do under such, stresses with the union and whatnot in City Opera. We've been able to really pull forth some good stuff. I'm really excited about the future for New York City Opera. I do believe that Mr. George still has some great things in store for the future. I pray that all goes well with him and the company, because it is definitely a jewel within New York City. And I'm really excited that this company has given myself a chance, Miss Camilla Williams a chance, and countless others a chance to sing and to be a part of its rich history. I'm hoping that Miss Sills will be proud of what we're doing. So I'm really excited about it. And I'm so grateful to you, Patrick, for doing this interview. And I thank you so much for always, coming forth and spreading the news to everyone, about what's happening in classical music.
Oh my goodness! Thank you so much. You just took the words that I was going to convey to you, because I want to thank you, Laquita, for your support. You've always offered up something positive about what I'm trying to do as far as fostering a love for classical music, and particularly highlighting those contributions of African American performers. So I want to say thank you to you, and it's been a definite pleasure and a long overdue conversation with you today.
Thank you so much. You guys have a great day.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. We've been listening to Laquita Mitchell, soprano, who will be starring in La Traviata with New York City Opera, and we're so fortunate that she joins us on the Opera Diva Series. Again, this has been Patrick D. McCoy, the African-American voice in classical music. I encourage you to follow me on Twitter at Patrick D. McCoy, or like my Facebook page, Patrick D. McCoy, the African-American voice in classical music. Again, this is Patrick D. McCoy, the African-American voice in classical music, and I hope you all have a wonderful